Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have Prime Minister participates in the inauguration of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Erdogan names his new government. Welcome to our newsroom. The Prime Minister Abdulkadir Kamil Mohammed participated in the inauguration ceremony of the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, which took place late this afternoon. Yesterday afternoon in Ankara, the capital of Turkey, Prime Minister Abdulkadir Kamil Mohammed attended the event in the company of other leaders and head of government from around the world. The Prime Minister's presence is testimony to the excellent relations between Djibouti and Turkey, with the two countries enjoying close ties in a range of areas including agriculture, health, energy and infrastructure. It should be noted that the head of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh, sent a message of congratulations to his Turkish counterpart after his victory in the presidential election. After the inauguration ceremony, the Turkish president hosted an official dinner for his distinguished guests at Jankaya Palace, the former residence of the Turkish president. The Prime Minister was accompanied by Djibouti's ambassador to Turkey, Mr. Aden Hussein. Erdogan appointed his new government after being re-elected as president of Turkey. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan was officially sworn in for terms on Saturday in Ankara. In the evening, he announced the formations of his new cabinet, which has been radically overhauled, notably in the areas of defense, foreign affairs, and in economy. Inauguration's day for Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the Turkish president, who was re-elected today as a head of state, was sworn in on Saturday, 3 June in Ankara for a new 5-year term. The head of state is sworn to carry out his duty impartially before the 600 deputies elected on 14 May. The deputies of the opposition is CHP, whose candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu forced Recep Tayyip Erdogan into the second round of voting for the first times before bowing out, remained seated as the assembly rose in torrential rains. He then went to the Atatürk Mausoleum on a hill in Ankara, from where he briefly heralded a new era, pledging to bring the victims of the headquarters homes as soon as possible. He then returned to the sumptuous presidential palace he had built on a hill away from the centers of Ankara, where he gave a gala dinner. Nearly 80 foreign head of state and ministers attended the ceremonies. They included the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, close allies of Erdogan's, and prime ministers of Hungary, Viktor Orban, America's Nicole Pashinyan, and Qatar, Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, who were among the first to congratulate him on his re-elections after 20 years in power. Also notably were the presence of the Venezuelan head of state, Nicolas Maduro, and numerous African head of state and notably Congo, Rwanda, Somalia, South Africa, and Algeria, testifies to Ankara's active diplomacy on the continent. Turkey, which has maintained its veto on Sweden's entry into the Atlantic Alliance for 13 months, is being courted to agree to lift it by the time of the organization's summit in Vilnius in July. The Minister of Energy, with the responsibility for fisheries resources, chaired a working meeting this morning in his offices. At the outset, the Minister and the representative discussed the importance of this meeting, which is likely to strengthen the existing link between the two institutions and consequently reinforce their fruitful partnership. They expressed their delight at the win-win cooperation between them and said yes to a more promising in energy futures in particular. The minister stressed the urgent need to undertake the projects currently underway to strengthen the energy sectors, which remains a foundation for the well-being of the whole world. He also praised USAID's effort to contribute and support the country's strategic energy planning policy. In addition to the Minister of Energy, the meeting was also attended by the USAID representative and the Energy Minister's Communication Officer. The Minister for Youth and Culture, Dr. Hiba Mumin Alsowi, and the State Secretary for Investment and Private Sector Development, Safiya Muhammad Adi Gadile, signed a partnership agreement on Sunday, 4 June, at the premises of the Minister of Youth in the presence of the Secretary General, technical advisors, and directors of the department of the two institutions. The MGC and the State Secretariat have decided to join forces to promote and develop investment in strategic sectors of the Djiboutian economy. The purpose of the partnership agreement signed is to establish the principles of cooperation between the two departments to attract Djibouti's youth into the Republic private sector. The Ministry of Youth and Culture will share information and data on young people wishing to work in the private sectors and will provide support to project sponsors. As for the State Secretariat for Investment and Private Sector Development, it will support young project holders in the process of setting up businesses and looking for investment, and will help them with the administrative formalities in order to promote the development of the private sector. Today, the rapprochement between the MGC and the State Secretariat aims to work together to highlight the major assets of the Djiboutian economies in order to attract Djiboutian entrepreneurs from the private sectors to accelerate economic growth. One of the aspects of these collaborations will be the sharing of information as well as the identification of and evaluation of youth projects in line with the Vision 2035. For her part, the State Secretariat for Investment and Private Sector Development, Safiya Muhammad Ali Gadile, said it will support this agreement signed will support young project holders in the process of setting up businesses and looking for investment, and will help them with the administrative formalities to encourage the development of the private sector. For her part, the Minister of Youth and Culture will share information and data on young people wishing to work in the private sectors and provide support for project leaders. A parliamentary delegation from the Republic of Djibouti, led by the Permanent Secretary of Parliament, Member of Parliament Suleiman Tahir Bile, is currently in the capital Mogadishu at the invitations of the Speaker of the Somali Parliament, Sheikh Aden Mohammed Noor. The Djiboutian delegation took part in the opening sessions of the 11th Somali Parliament held in the city of Mogadishu. In a statement broadcast on national television, the head of the Somali Djibouti delegation, Suleiman Tahir Bile, underlined the fraternal relations between the Republic of Djibouti and the Federal Republic of Somalia, expressing at the same time the Djibouti's full readiness to support and help Somalia. Referring to our country's effort to re-establish peace and stability in Somalia, he drew attention to the Somali Reconciliation Conference in Arta, which was organized in Djibouti at the initiative of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh. The representative of the Somali Embassy in Djibouti, Jibril Afaire, congratulated the leaders, government, and people of the Republic of Djibouti on the 46th anniversary of national independence. Mr. Afaire recalled that the missions of the Somali Embassy in Djibouti is to strengthen and develop bilateral relations and joint cooperation between Djibouti and Somalia. Under the supervision of the Yemeni Ministry of Education, represented by its emissary headed by Mr. Nasser Khadar and Mr. Hizam Sadan, a member of the monitoring committee, Yemeni school began exams today, Sunday, 4 June. They are for the general secondary certificate for the year 2023. Around 49 students from the schools and the central schools in the refugee camp in Abah region are taking these exams, having been forced to leave their country several years ago by wartime conditions. In order to better understand how these exams are conducted, the head of the Yemeni schools found in Badi, Haj Abdurrahman Ahmed Taha, accompanied by the head of the school board, Mr. Abdullah Al-Muzakhar, the Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the Ministry's coordinator for refugee in the central upload, Ms. Ahlam Tabit, and the head of the school, the head of the examination center, Abu Raqib Al-Dubai, during an inspection towers of the various examination rooms where they praised the arrangements made by the to create the right atmosphere for the students taking these exams. It is worth noting that the Yemeni school, which was founded in Djibouti in 1991, organized at an event at the end of the last month in the Great Hall of the People's Palace, dedicated to the closures of the 2022-2023 academic years and to bid farewell to the creative sprite of high school students under the aegis of Abu Ahmad Group and Deco Stores. It is also worth noting that the total numbers of male and female students at these schools, which is under the supervision of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, is currently around 800, while the number of faculty members is around 36, and female teachers. The school headmasters took the opportunity to encourage the male and female students and motivate them to persevere and discipline themselves and redouble their efforts to achieve the desired objectives, represented by crowning their school years with excellence and crowning their academic careers with great success. Mr. Nasser Hadar Khadar, chairman of the supervisory committee of the Yemeni Ministry of Education, has expressed his satisfaction with the smooth running of the general secondary exams held at the Al-Yemeni school in Djibouti. He affirmed the Yemeni government's support for the efforts of the Yemeni school in Djibouti. The start of the general secondary certificate examinations for the academic year 2022-2023, corresponding to today, Sunday, 4 June 2023, was inaugurated at the Yemeni school centers in Djibouti under the direct supervision of the Yemeni Ministry of Education through its delegated supervisor for the examination, Mr. Nasser Al-Haddar, Director of Human Resources, Chairman of the committee, Mr. Issam Saddam, Director General of Metals and Technology, the Ambassador of the Republic and the Chairman of the founding body, Haj Abdurrahman Taha, and board members Mr. Fahmi Haidar are present as members, and the chairman of the school boards of trustees, Mr. Abdullah Al-Muzakhar, those who praised the safe and stable examinations environment which their students continue success. I concluded by sincerely thanking the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the assistance of the Secretary General of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, and the Ministry's refugee coordinators at the Abkhazian Center. Yesterday evening, the Guled Stadium hosted the passing in the of the different green, blue, brown, and black belt to the Djiboutian judokas, in the presence of the different president of the Djiboutian Martial Arts Federation, president of the Djibouti Judo Federation, and state secretary general of the Olympic Committee, Mr. Abdurrahman Faisal Abdallah, demonstrations of the practices taught through the season, showing that the discipline is accessible to all sizes and open to girls and boys alike. Judo gives everyone the chance to practice the sport at their own pace. During the ceremony, all the age category gave demonstrations of their skills before being presented with their new belts. The long-awaited moment arrived with the presentations of the belt that validate the opportunity to develop physical, mental, and social skills. The blue, brown, and black guard belts are levels of competence and expertise in the practice of judo. Djibouti's judoka passed the exams to obtain these belts, demonstrating their commitment and progress in the sports. The fact that the demonstrations show that judo is accessible to all sizes and open to both boys and girls in excellent news. Judo is a sport that can be practiced by everyone, so whatever the ages, sex, and levels of fitness. It helps develop self-confidence, disciplines, and respect for others, important values for life in society. As part of the International Day of the Midwife, the Djiboutian Union of Midwives organized an awareness raising ceremony at the UNFD headquarters this week on the importance of prenatal consultations for pregnant women and the distributions of kits. This ceremony was attended by the Damerjog Deputy Prefect, Mr. Abdelshahid Noor, the association representative, Ms. Deqa Hassan, and the representative of the civil society. In addition, screening sessions for anemia were jointly organized, followed by the distributions of folding irons to combat anemia among pregnant women in the village of Damerjog and the surrounding areas. On the behalf of the people of Sub-Prefecture, the Deputy Prefect Abdelshahid Noor thanked the Union of Midwives who had organized the event. The women who benefited thanked the Union of Midwives for their support for the pregnant women of Damerjog and the surrounding area. For his part, the Deputy Prefect the President of the Association of Midwives and the Deputy Prefect of Damerjog, Mr. Abdelshahid Noors, and the representative of the Union of Midwives took the opportunity to emphasize the importance of this International Day of Midwife, which is celebrated throughout the world. The Deputy Prefect thanked the associations for choosing the village of Damerjog to celebrate the event, which coincided with an awareness-raising program to protect women's health and the distributions of anemia kits and medicines to pregnant women. Prenatal consultations were also organized on the same day. As part of the fight against smuggling, the Ali Sabih Custom Brigades, in collaboration with the police officers from the Ali Sabih detachment, today intercepted a large consignment of smuggled cat. During the operation, 4,300 kilograms of cat were intercepted, which the smugglers had intended to transport to the town of Ali Sabih in accordance with the standards procedure. This quantity was destroyed on the spot in the presence of the head of the Ali Sabih Customs Brigade, Mr. Muhammad Mumin Hassan. Smuggling is a scourge that is damaging our country's economy, so it is up to each and every citizen to fight hard to put an end to this illegal trade. The prefect of the Ali Sabih region, Musa Adam Migane, warmly congratulated the Ali Sabih Customs Brigade and the National Police Forces on the success of this anti-smuggling operation. For the international scene, the countries of the Great Lakes region called for an immediate ceasefire in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sudan. The member state of the International Conference of the Great Lakes region is called on Saturday for an immediate cessation of hostility in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sudan. The member state of the committee attended a summit in Luanda, the capital of Angola, on Saturday, during which they stressed the need to improve coordination and implementation of the mechanism for monitoring and evaluating the ceasefires of the March 23 movement, M23, in its withdrawal from the occupied territories. The summit condemned the conflict in Sudan, calling for the peace process in the countries to be relaunched in order to find a lasting solution. The statement issued at the end of the summit recalled the commitment of the agreement reached in the Luanda and Nairobi processes and condemned any attempt by the M23 and others armed groups to strengthen themselves in order to resume hostilities in the occupied areas, reiterating the need for the immediate and disarmament and unconditional repatriation. And to close up this edition, Paris Saint-Germain makes Lionel Messi's departure is official. In a statement yesterday, Paris Saint-Germain made official the departure of striker Lionel Messi at the end of the season after 2 years in the capital. Messi, 35-year, played his last match for the PSG on Saturday evening against Clermont on the final day of the Ligue 1. His contract expired at the end of June. Messi arrived with the great fanfare from Barcelona in 2021 and made 74 appearances for the Parisian club, scoring 32 goals and providing 35 assists, but he was unable to guide Paris towards its ultimate goal, the Champions League. The soap opera surroundings future had been dragging on since the end of 2022. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.